Hello, and welcome to or back to my channel. I'm Kit, your friendly feminist cat lady spinster, and today we're going to talk about the Texas school shooting. More specifically, we're going to talk about the conservative reaction to the school shooting as illustrated by one biblical wife in particular. This person has less than 10,000 followers, so I won't be sharing their name, but I do want to say this is the same person that thinks we should be encouraging teens to marry. On May 24th, 2022, 19 children and 2 adults were killed at an elementary school in Texas. Per Education Week, there have been 22 school shootings so far in 2022, as of filming this May 30th, 2022. Conservative social media has followed the formula below, though for the purpose of this video, I'll only be sharing screenshots from one account. And yes, I am angry. First, let's look at what this person was saying when the Roe v. Wade draft opinion was leaked. There is no constitutional right to abortion. That's why the High Court could easily overturn Roe. We know vastly more about the science of pregnancy than we did in 1973, and it's never been clearer that abortion takes a human life. Human rights are based on the sanctity of life, which is why abortion should be illegal. The sanctity of life, you say? So this started when Sharon McMahon stated that thoughts and prayers are not solving the issue of mass shootings in the US, and this person took great offense to that. I find this so despicable, especially her caption. The caption reads, "It's clear that thoughts and prayers are not solving the issue of mass shootings in America. These children woke up and went to school this morning. They have just lost their lives. Their parents are likely in complete shock and their grief has only just begun. The thoughts and prayers are for the people who have lost their loved ones. It is disgusting to jump immediately hours after the shooting to thoughts and prayers aren't enough. No one said thoughts and prayers were going to stop the mass shootings, Karen. Let these people grieve, for goodness sake. This is what happens in a country that has utterly lost sight of the spiritual and basic human decency." This might have worked if this was the first time something like this had happened in the US, but it's not. Far from the first, and by now we all know the MO. Thoughts and prayers are offered, there's a little talk of gun control, and then it fades away until next time. And there is always a next time. If you, random Instagram user, want to offer thoughts and prayers, that's fine. But politicians have got to stop hiding behind it. That's what Sharon was talking about when she said it wasn't solving the issue. And we've already all heard, their kids just died, they need to grieve. They can still grieve whilst the gun control is happening. Do you really think a person who just lost their child to gun violence wouldn't want something to change so this didn't happen to another family? Do you really think taking steps to at least try and prevent this from happening again would disrupt the grieving process? My thoughts and prayers are with the victims of this horrific shooting, and prayer is more powerful than anything else we can do. You could sign petitions, you could protest, you could call your reps, you could write your reps. But thoughts and prayers are the most powerful thing you can do? Please tell me what that will achieve exactly. What are you praying for? What are you thinking about? And then, of course, they had to turn this into a whole post. Way to make this about yourself. Wasn't there a mention of a Karen earlier? Had to. Thoughts and prayers are enough. Enough to show basic human compassion, decency, kindness, and spiritual petition on behalf of people suffering immense pain who don't need their tragedy turned into a despicably untimely policy debate. And then the next day. You're angry. I get it. I can't even imagine your horror if you watched the federal government mass confiscate all the firearms to prevent another shooting. I can't even think how you'd feel when only the criminals have weapons and, lo and behold, murder still existed. You probably don't know the pain of losing a loved one because an illegal alien used an illegal firearm to illegally murder another human being. I do. My best friend was shot and killed by an MS-13 gang member who was an illegal alien and used a weapon that was banned in California. Why? Because the driver of the car he was in was wearing a blue hat. I'd ask you to tell me what law could have prevented that, but I don't even want to hear because I don't want to have the same tone-deaf argument about gun laws while people are suffering like I watched my friend's family suffer in 2008. I have so much to say about this post. First, I'm sorry they lost their friend, but it doesn't seem appropriate to use them as an example as to why we shouldn't bother with gun control. And then there's everything else. The mention of how the murder was part of MS-13, the repeated usage of the word illegal, illegal alien, illegal firearm, illegal murder. The purpose is for us to draw the conclusion that we shouldn't outlaw firearms because it wouldn't do any good anyway. Also note the redirection from gun control and the jump to mass confiscation of all firearms, even though one is not the other. and the air quotes around prevent another shooting, indicating they believe the government will be doing such a thing for a more sinister purpose. It's also interesting how, when speaking of abortion, they call on science to support their anti-choice views. Science also says more guns make us less safe, but no mention of that in their posts. And then the final stage of the cycle, conspiracy theories. And I must say, I find it interesting they were upset people were discussing it, but they also solicited comments. My biggest concern right now, too, if you tend to be highly skeptical of many details of this shooting and other past shootings or terror attacks, you should know I'm right there with you. This is why I wanted to wait to comment. It's never, ever what it appears when the story first breaks, no matter what kind of event it is. That's just the nature of disaster and how news gets reported. We barely knew anything on Tuesday, and yet everyone supposedly had all the answers when it comes to gun policy. That's what was so misguided and tasteless. Same for those on my side who rushed to defend gun rights. What on earth is going on here? I don't mean to get anyone upset. Let's stay calm while the facts come out, but be very wary of the fact checks. Something does not add up, to say the very least, and you've got to consider the many other factors at play in our country and the world power structures at large right now. There are many other details I could go into right now, but won't. So to be clear, it's too early to discuss gun policies, but not too early to begin conspiracy theorizing. Anyway, they also shared a post of Trump saying the bare minimum and stating, when he's right, he's right. I wonder if this person was in favor of building the wall because even though criminals could still get in, it was worth it just to make it more difficult for them. So the next post is one I grabbed a while back because it was going to be part of my TradGram series, but it seemed appropriate to include in this video and I do not understand it. What about a shotgun toy in a library indicates you're living in the right county? What makes a county a right county? Lax gun laws? Encouraging kids to play with guns? Encouraging kids to play with fake guns? And finally, they posted this meme when the Roe v. Wade draft leaked, and I couldn't help but notice how well it worked if you replace the Supreme Court when Roe v. Wade gets overturned with the Supreme Court when gun control is enacted. But of course, regulating uteruses are much more important than regulating guns. Circling back around to the abortion post, if human life is so sacred, why aren't we passing gun control legislation to save lives? Or is it just that some lives are more sacred than others? Or is it simply that you don't want any restriction on gun ownership? I would like someone to tell me why, if there's no correlation between guns and school shootings, other countries that have enacted gun control have much less gun violence than we do. And also, why do these folks think that the US will be overrun with armed criminals if we dare pursue gun control, when that hasn't happened in other countries? Or do they seriously think the US is in some sort of like special vortex and armed civilians are the only ones keeping criminals in check? Anyway, I leave you with this. I'm not a member of the NRA anymore. I feel like they have let gun owners down when they could have done a better job standing up for us. That said, the narrative that they're to blame for keeping guns legal and for mass shootings is absurdly and despicably far-fetched at absolutely best. Are they feigning ignorance, or do they really not know how involved the NRA has been in politics? And what do they mean, the NRA could have done a better job standing up for us? And that is it for this video. I hope you have a great day, night, whenever you happen to be watching this, and I will see you next week. Bye!